Welcome to our new episode of Communication Weekly. Today we'll be looking at the subject of minorities and especially oppression in minority groups. So, what's a minority?
Well, a minority is either a racial, religious, or political group that is thought to be different in that larger group it belongs to. And these groups have been oppressed throughout history, and some of them are still being oppressed today.
So, it's important to understand in which areas they are being oppressed, because the majority is still not aware. So for that, let's have Valentin ask our students if they actually know this.
So, how do you think does the media report on racism?
Well, I think that they don't really report on racism because I don't see any advertisements, any documentary about it. So I don't think they really report of it.
Usually I don't see media reporting much on racism, but I think when they do report it on quite harsh terms, meaning that they take a quite strong stand against racism.
I believe the media reports on racism biasly. Sometimes there are different views that certain media groups have, and they depend on those, and that also reflects in the questions they ask and how they present it in the media itself.
Okay, so how do you think that those that are affected by it, so victims of racism, how they deal with this issue?
I believe that many of them go down the street and try to make it clear and kind of make it aware to everyone else. And you can see in the example of the Ukraine, the women's rights, that a lot of those people that believe in a certain cause, they undress themselves to make it more provocative and to be more drastic than it is actually.
Yeah, I think that they try to put it like in social networks. I mean, like with the Twitter, Facebook, they try to upload their status with it.
I think it can be really hard, but I mean, maybe they can just share the point of view and to create debates, to have friends to support them. And I think, yes, they should share the culture and what they really think.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Welcome back. So, as we see, most students believe that these groups are treated unequally and don't have the same chances in life. But in order to understand this oppression even better, it is very important to consider the 5 phases of oppression.
And for that, we'll have Dima tell us more about those.
In our society today, there are many groups that can be considered as minority groups. And minority groups basically experience injustice in society such as race, gender, religion, or nationality, and usually are the smaller group in a population. According to philosopher Iris Marion Young, in order for a group to be considered a minority group, they must face the 5 phases of oppression. And these 5 phases of oppression include exploitation, marginalization, powerlessness, cultural imperialism, and violence. Basically, what exploitation means is putting someone under hard-working conditions and trying to gain as much as them from you can. For example, in underdeveloped countries such as China and India, there are many workers who work under hard-working conditions because they have no other choice of working means. Marginalization means excluding a certain group from human rights or opportunities as the dominant group, for example, inequality of women in the workplace. Powerlessness basically means that the minority group has no authoritative say in their society, and what they say isn't considered significant because themselves aren't considered significant. What cultural imperialism means is basically that the dominant culture in a society is not open to new ways and traditions and believe that their ways are the normal ways. For example, in Dubai, 50% of the population consists of migrant workers. However, the city still hasn't implemented their culture into the city and still consider them as the inferior culture. And violence basically speaks for itself, that minority groups experience violence just because they are a minority group. So that's it today for a short introduction on the 5 phases of oppression. Thank you.
So, the oppression of minorities has decreased a lot in the recent decades. However, there are still some areas around the world where it is very, very evident. Just in 2011, a documentary was released about the blood minerals used in many devices by firms such as Apple or HP, and are basically financing the civil war that has been going on in the Congo since more than 15 years. This civil war has led to more than 5 million deaths and more than 300,000 women raped. So if you want to inform yourself more about this topic, please check out the link below.
So we are taught the subject of minorities to understand our moral duty on a personal and professional environment and to comprehend the society we live in by avoiding prejudice and stereotype. Our professor Vincent Doyle taught us this subject and will also tell us more in our special episode this week, so you can check it out.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching.